So we live now in an age where technology and change is happening faster than we have seen it happen before. We're seeing technologies every 18 months doubling in power and capacity. The networks that we're connected to, whether it's social media networks like Facebook or Twitter, are expanding rapidly. They're becoming larger than nation states. And we now, as educators and particularly teachers, are looking at how do we help prepare young people to flourish in an environment where there's rapid change and a great deal of uncertainty. So today I had a conversation about the nature of change and three very strong forces that are affecting schools and society. Those being greater choice, so whether it's curricular choice or choice that we might have in our personal lives, being media or food choices, we have more and more choice than we've maybe experienced in the past. We also see greater push for personalization, getting what we want, when we want, how we want it. And all of this in an environment where things are more flexible. They're online, they're offline, they're much more accessible again at any time, any place, and any pace. As those forces are coming together to put all kinds of interesting pressures on schools and classrooms, we have to think about the balance. Not everybody has choice, whether it's food choice or access. So we have to remember to think of equity as a key part of the conversation. If we're going to give one group choice, we also have to think equitably so that all students in the public system have access to the media, let's say if it was technologies, or even opportunities, learning opportunities. When we look at personalization, if it's taken up as individualization, then we have to be very thoughtful that it's actually about community. It's not just about what I want, when I want, and how I want it, but we also have shared interests, whether they be curricular interests, that we have to balance out. And then finally, as we talk about flexibility and using technologies and others in a more flexible environment, we also have to make sure that we take responsibility or ensure that our students have responsibility to get more and more of that access. The second piece I talked about today that was looking at the nature of change was looking at how things are getting connected to the Internet of Things. There are now more things connected to the Internet than there are people on the planet. And that happened actually over a decade ago in terms of connectivity. Whether it's a fridge, a watch, a car, more and more things have access to real-time data flow. And soon that boundary between things being connected, being online or offline, is going to change. And the Internet of me, the Internet of the person, is going to start blurring a boundary between silicon and carbon. We're going to see more and more things like vibrating haptic tattoos or smart clothing, where the technology becomes more pervasive and 24/7. So with the rapid nature of change and these forces that are impacting us, I left the group with three considerations. The first is we need to be balanced. And that means that the technology is not going away, but we have to know when and where we can use it to enhance learning, but also when and where it distracts from learning. It's paradoxically enhancing and distracting. The second piece is that we need to be mindful developmentally. At what age should we engage young people in more and more technology? Because there are some developmental considerations. And there's considerations for us, like sleep quality at night if we have lots of nocturnal screen time. We have to be much more mindful about when and where we can introduce technology. And also mindful as professionals that any time, any place, any pace, activity, or drives resulting in this expectation of anytime service is creating a lot of tensions, and we have to balance that out. And third and finally, I talked about being present. The most important piece that I left the group with is that learning is highly relational, and whether it's young people working with other young people in our classrooms, whether it's colleagues, teachers to students, parents with teachers, learning is a highly relational space. It's socially constructed, it's active and inquiry-oriented, and it needs to be really thought through contextually. And that last piece about being present is extremely important because we don't want to be alone together with our technologies. We don't want to be in a space where the technology is in competition with our attention with each other. And most importantly, it's the basis of what we know about strong learning environments. They're highly relational. And protecting that relationship, either enhancing it with the technology, extending it with the technology, creating new networks that young people can engage with globally, that can be empowering. If, however, the technology is getting in the way of those relationships or detracting from those relationships, then we have to think very carefully about how and why we use it.